Gomez, and this is going to be my audience today. And today we'll be doing a speech about domestic violence. Did you know that statistics state that 1.3 million women per year between the ages of 16 and 44 report domestic violence? And in that same year, troops in Iraq and Afghanistan, there were killed 6,673 people, and in that same year, 11,766 women were also killed due to domestic violence. So that means that in an actual war where people were trying to kill each other, less the number of deaths than an actual realistic life. People were being killed, women were being abused and slaughtered like if it was a war. And I guess we have to ask ourselves, is love more lethal than war? And so I just want to start off today by letting the audience be aware of just how important domestic violence abuse is. And I want the audience to know that sometimes people think that women are overreacting. Please do not ever think that women overreact. If a woman says that she is in a domestic violence abuse, that means that she's crying out for help. So many people have just swept this under the rug in America and not dealt with it. Rather, they close their eyes and make themselves blind to the domestic violence issue. I don't know how important it is to each and every person in this room or if they've been through domestic violence, but I actually personally have been through domestic violence, and I did go through a period in my life where domestic violence was a huge part of my life, and during that domestic violence relationship, I chose not to walk away but rather to stay, because I thought maybe if I helped him realize that somebody was there, that it would eventually go away. Well, it doesn't go away, it just gets worse. And this is something that I want to show you guys today. Behind me here, this is an experience that I went through with a significant other of mine who is now in prison for 16 years due to domestic violence. But this wasn't the first occurrence of the domestic violence issue. There were many of times that I covered for him and thought that it was just going to go away or he was going to get better, and it never did. So this is a house. This place right here that you see in the back is actually a place where he actually kidnapped me and held me hostage for 3 days. In those 3 days, I was beaten with a hammer and a bat, and I still had to stay because at that point, I felt there wasn't any way to escape that. So, I mean, being around his family chose to close their eyes to that and just act like nothing was happening. So, I mean, there's so many signs and so many people out there who just walk away and don't do anything about it. And I just want people to know, and these are a couple of things that are put up for on websites for women to go to. The statistics are very, very high for domestic violence. In Europe, the death toll is actually higher for domestic violence murders than it is for cancer. You know, people wear pink ribbons to make breast awareness cancer, make people aware of breast cancer. I think that us as a community, that we should make domestic violence more aware, people more aware of domestic violence. So today I'm actually asking my audience that I brought red ribbon, and I know it's not all that great, but I'm asking my audience to actually take a piece of this red ribbon and tie it around their antennas on their cars. And every time you look at this red ribbon, just make people around you aware of the domestic violence issue. And I believe that word of mouth is one of the biggest ways that you can get things to spread. And I actually think that if it starts with 1 to 10 people, and you make every other person aware of the situation, that something will eventually come out of this. There is an awareness month. This actually is they have walk against domestic violence. They have domestic violence awareness month is actually October 16th through November 12th. That's 16 days of being aware of domestic violence. And I ask everybody to participate and just to take action, stand up and take action. Don't sit there and watch somebody that you love go through domestic violence. I know there's, like myself, I chose to stay away from my family so that they wouldn't be involved in it. But if you know that a family member is going through domestic violence, even if they get upset, it would save a lot of heartache in the end. This actual situation that I went through, this was a month after already at his trial, and that's how my face still looked at his trial. It was a month later. That was an almost near-death experience that came from that relationship. And I also had another experience with that same person where I actually did get shot and survived that as well. But I don't know how I did survive it, but I made it out of it, and only due to a friend that actually went out and above to tell the cops that when I tried to protect him that I was lying. And that's the only way that he got sent to prison. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be here today giving this speech. So, she took that stand, and even though I was upset with her, only because of her taking that stand did he actually go to prison for 16 years. And that saved my life and probably a lot of other women's lives that he would have gotten involved with, or whatever the case may be. So today I just ask that my audience take a stand, and that they take a piece of this red ribbon, tie it around their antenna, and every time you look at it, just tell the person you're around or at work that domestic violence does exist. And the more people that stand up and take that stand, the less lives that are going to be taken due to domestic violence. So I just want everyone to know today that domestic violence is real, and please take a stand for domestic violence. Thank you, everyone, for listening. This is my audience one more time.
Stop it.
How do you stop?
Mm-hmm.
We're over.